Welcome back to Screen Sizzle. We extend our heartfelt thanks to you, our dedicated viewers, for joining us on our journey toward 1 million subscribers. Let me know which movie you want me to explain the meaning of by commenting below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated on our latest videos. All right, let's not keep you waiting any longer. Let's get started. Superman 2025, the highly anticipated reboot of the iconic DC hero, directed by James Gunn. This action-packed film ushers in a new era for the Man of Steel, blending heart, humor, and spectacle as Clark Kent, also known as Kal-El, navigates his dual identity as a Kryptonian and a human, facing off against the cunning Lex Luthor and his dangerous schemes. Including a devastating interdimensional rift, Superman must protect Metropolis while rediscovering his purpose. Join us as we dive into the key moments, characters, and themes that make this film a thrilling cornerstone of the new DC universe. The story begins at a moment when Superman is deeply vulnerable. He plummets at breakneck speed, like a bullet, and collapses in a desolate, snow-covered wasteland at the South Pole. A stark contrast to the invincible image the world has always attributed to him. Blood drips from his nose, his breathing is labored, and the brutal battle he just endured has pushed him to the brink of death. The raw atmosphere of the scene is palpable. A hero, a god in the eyes of many, now reduced to a fragile mortal. In the midst of a freezing blizzard, a dog appears, Krypto, Superman's loyal and endearing superdog, oblivious to the gravity of the situation. Krypto leaps onto Superman with a wagging tail, bringing a moment of pure, heartfelt loyalty with the last of his strength. Superman pleads with his companion to take him home. The ice suddenly cracks open, revealing the majestic Fortress of Solitude, a crystalline stronghold adorned with the unmistakable S symbol etched on its gate, a place that is both a technological marvel and a sacred sanctuary housing his soul. Superman's robots immediately rush to his aid. Their emotionless efficiency stands in stark contrast to Superman's humanity. Though Superman expresses gratitude, the robots coldly inform him they lack consciousness, their sole function being to serve. His thanks, therefore, become meaningless in their eyes. A subtle reminder of the inherent loneliness in the life of the last son of Krypton. To help him calm down and recover faster, the robots activate a hologram, a message from his biological parents, Jor-El and Lara Vaughn, in the video. They explain their desperate act of sending him away from the collapsing planet Krypton to save his life, instilling in him a love that transcends both heaven and earth, placing all their hopes in him. However, the recording abruptly cuts off. Only half the message survives the arduous journey to Earth, the rest lost or damaged. The robots diagnose Superman with 14 broken bones, along with damage to his kidneys, liver, and bladder. He requires a massive dose of solar radiation to fully recover, so they place him directly under sunlight, a critical process to restore his extraordinary superpowers. As Superman recovers, James Gunn introduces the engineer, a woman infused with microscopic machines in her bloodstream, working for Lex Luthor. The engineer is tracking Superman at the South Pole, but reports via radio that she cannot pinpoint his location. Lex Luthor's brief appearance foreshadows his sinister plans and impending threats. Though only 85% recovered, Superman ignores the robot's warnings and insists on returning to action. His resolve is unshakable, driven by a sense of duty that surpasses personal safety. Superman is determined to fight again. In this context, a mysterious weapon called the Hammer of Baravia emerges, delivering a devastating blow that leaves Superman crumpled on the ground, utterly helpless. The precision of the attack shocks viewers, as if the enemy anticipated Superman's every move. At this critical moment, a street food vendor named Malik Ali, who once gave Superman a falafel, steps in. Malik rushes to help him stand. However, Luthor immediately detects the civilian's presence, revealing the extent of his control and surveillance network. Meanwhile, the engineer tracks Superman's trail to the Fortress of Solitude. She catches a fleeting glimpse of it before it vanishes from sight. Lex Luthor, using his cutting-edge technology, observes everything through a strategically placed camera network, demonstrating his unparalleled ability to manipulate information and events. The Hammer of Baravia declares this will be Superman's final battle. The crowd witnessing his fall begins to mock him. The plot thickens when it's revealed that the Hammer of Baravia is not human. As it claimed, It is an immensely powerful robot named Ultraman, who masqueraded as the Hammer to deceive the public. Luthor explains that Ultraman spent years meticulously studying Superman's every behavior and tactic. Back in Metropolis, Clark Kent returns to his job as a journalist. He receives a warm call from his adoptive parents, reminding him of their love and urging him not to forget them. His brief responses during the call are understandable given the pressure he's under, reflecting the tension between his two lives, one as a superhero, the other as an ordinary man. Lois Lane appears, playfully teasing Clark, lightening the tense atmosphere surrounding him. Lois's usual cheerfulness contrasts sharply with the gravity of the events unfolding around them. News reports state that Baravia's president Vasil Gurkos has publicly denied any connection between his nation and the Hammer of Baravia. Meanwhile, Clark references his past interviews with Superman, and the media begins reflecting a shift in public opinion. The public starts turning against the hero they once revered. At the Pentagon, Luthor meets with Department of Defense leaders, introducing Ultraman and a team of Raptors, created to eliminate extraterrestrial threats. Luthor tries to convince them to invest in his Planet Watch project, claiming Superman is a danger. However, the defense leaders counter that Superman prevented a war and is still beloved by the public. Luthor insists on Superman's threat level, though he admits there's no concrete evidence, leading the defense leaders to reject extreme actions. After 3 months without a date, Lois and Clark finally have an evening to themselves. They discuss recent troubles surrounding the Hammer of Baravia. Superman suggests Lois conduct an interview, and she agrees. The interview begins, and Lois cuts straight to the point, asking about the pressure Superman is facing. She notes that even the Secretary of Defense has announced an investigation into Superman's actions in Baravia. Superman explains his intervention in Jarhanpur and a private conversation with Baravia's president, but refuses to share details, calling it a personal matter. Clark explains that he acted because he believed Baravia's government was hiding sinister motives. Lois asks if he sought permission to enter Baravia. Superman admits he didn't, acting on his own because he believed it was right, with countless lives at stake. Lois shares that she's faced heavy criticism on social media over this, but Superman responds that he doesn't have time for social media. He opens up to Lois about his biological parents, revealing he hails from Krypton, a planet destroyed along with its history, culture, and everything he loved. He shares that his parents sent him to Earth to save him, giving him a chance to serve humanity. Lois admits that much of the public suspects he's on Earth for some hidden, sinister purpose. This genuinely angers Clark. Lois, in frustration, admits she expected the conversation to go poorly. She says maintaining relationships has never been her strength. Hearing this, Clark leaves without a word, leaving Lois alone with her chaotic thoughts. This moment highlights the difficulty Superman faces in balancing his relationship with Lois, torn between being an ordinary journalist and a savior of humanity. Meanwhile, at the South Pole, Luthor, the engineer, Ultraman, and Luthor's girlfriend Eve Teschmacher arrive at Superman's icy fortress. Wait, why would Lex Luthor bring his girlfriend to a secret base? Never mind. Let's move on. Shockingly, Luthor manages to activate and fully infiltrate the fortress, though the engineer is baffled as to how, since the fortress should only open with Superman's DNA. With his army of superhumans, Luthor destroys all the guard robots in the fortress. When Krypto appears, the engineer uses nanites to envelop and neutralize the superdog, brushing him aside. Luthor's true goal is to find evidence to incriminate Superman. The engineer works to restore the damaged portion of the message from Superman's parents. After much effort, she completes the reconstruction simultaneously. In Metropolis, Ortis, a member of Luthor Corp, carries a box containing a dangerous entity. The plan is to release this kaiju to distract Superman, while critical information is extracted from his fortress. The tiny creature Ortis releases quickly grows into a colossal kaiju. Superman immediately rushes to save a dog nearly crushed by it. Lois watches the chaos unfold on TV news. Suddenly, the Justice Gang appears, featuring Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, and Mr. Terrific. Together, they defeat the kaiju. Just as the massive creature is about to collapse and crush the crowd, Superman intervenes to ensure everyone's safety. Yet, even after this heroic act, no one claps. The media has spread too many stories. turning the public against him. A wave of toxic media begins to spread, claiming Superman is a threat, sowing doubt in the public's mind. Though news reports confirm no lives were lost in the monster attack, Superman's public image continues to deteriorate. Then, a bombshell revelation emerges: the full recording from Superman's biological parents, restored by the engineer, analyzed by 28 of the world's top linguists, contains a troubling translation for humanity. In the message, his parents express their love for their son, stating that Krypton is gone forever and placing all their hopes in him, the last son of Krypton, because Earth is the best place for him to live. However, they also say that Earth's humans are simple, chaotic, and mentally weak. As the last Kryptonian, he must eliminate those who cannot serve him and honor Krypton's legacy. By ruling with unrelenting dominance, this message is a devastating blow. Luthor seizes the opportunity, appearing publicly before the media, declaring that Superman is plotting to subjugate humanity. Preparing for his descendants to conquer Earth, Luthor vows he will never let that happen. Meanwhile, Superman wanders the streets alone, heartbroken as people relentlessly criticize him. Finally, he enters a room where Green Lantern appears. After hearing the recording from Superman's parents, Green Lantern is convinced he's a threat, but Superman insists he never heard the full recording, as the second half was damaged during his journey to Earth. Mr. Terrific says he knows computer forensics, and they can't confirm its authenticity without certainty. When Hawkgirl asks where the video came from, Superman decides to return to the icy fortress, believing it's the only source of the original recording and the truth. Meanwhile, representatives from nations worldwide hold an emergency meeting to debate whether Superman is truly a threat to the planet. On the news, Baravia's president appears, declaring that Superman intervened in the Baravia-Jarhanpur War, not to protect anyone but to enslave its people, keeping them under his control. After the interview, the president returns to his office, passing through a secret portal leading straight to Luthor. The president is thrilled, believing their plan to eliminate Superman succeeded thanks to the fake recording they released. But Luthor coldly corrects him. The recording is entirely real. Oh my God! Unlike previous Superman versions, where Jor-El sent Superman to Earth for noble reasons, to serve humanity, this new purpose from Jor-El tells a different story. If the second half of Jor-El's message hadn't been damaged, I think Clark Kent might have been called Homelander. Luckily for Earth, and thanks to Jonathan Kent for finding Clark, when Superman returns to his Fortress of Solitude, he finds it completely destroyed. He meets one of his loyal robots, Number 4, which admits it tried its best to protect the fortress, but failed. After saying this, the robot shuts down in Superman's arms, leaving him in pain. Then he realizes something even worse. Krypto, his closest friend, is missing. Determined to find Krypto at all costs, Superman flies straight to Luthor Corp's headquarters to confront Lex Luthor. He demands to know where Krypto is being held, but Luthor swears he knows nothing. Feigning complete ignorance as they argue, Eve, Luthor's girlfriend, secretly records the confrontation and live streams it on social media. Meanwhile, news channels broadcast interviews with Peacemaker, who seizes the opportunity to relentlessly criticize Superman. Superman, completely broken, returns to his apartment and finds Lois Lane there. She's surprised to see him and says she didn't even know he had a dog. Superman explains he's only looking after it. She gently offers him a cup of hot cocoa. At this moment, Superman finally opens up. He explains that the ship bringing him to Earth was damaged, so he only heard the first half of his parents' message. Lois tries to reassure him, saying she believes him, but she also points out that one of his biggest weaknesses is trusting people too much and assuming everyone is inherently good. Superman says he'll turn himself over to the Department of Justice, as it's the only way to find Krypto. Lois says it's just a dog. But Superman insists that, though mischievous and naughty, Krypto is out there alone. As a dog lover, I'm moved by Superman's humanity, that he would save any living creature, even a dog. Or maybe he's afraid of Krypto's real owner, because the owner of a superdog like Krypto must be formidable. Lois embraces Superman, and he confesses he loves her. They share an emotional farewell amidst the surrounding adversity. The next day, Superman surrenders to Luthor's soldiers. Immediately, they pin him down and brutally beat him without mercy. He's then taken aboard a ship and transported to one of Luthor's secret desert bases. There, a team of Raptors escorts Superman into a pocket universe, a separate dimension Luthor created by opening a small rift between worlds. Accessible through portals scattered across the planet, they arrive at a secret prison where Luthor holds various people at Baravia's government's request. Among the prisoners are troublemakers, political adversaries, and even Luthor's ex-lovers. One woman is imprisoned simply for writing a scathing breakup blog about Luthor. Superman is thrown into a cell with Rex, a metahuman known as Element Man. Luthor orders Rex to turn one of his hands into kryptonite, the only substance that can weaken Superman. With no choice, Rex complies, because Luthor is holding Rex's son in the same prison, forcing his obedience. Meanwhile, at the newsroom, Lois Lane investigates why Luthor is so deeply involved in Baravia's affairs. During her search, she uncovers a shocking secret. Luthor has been selling weapons to Baravia at absurdly low prices, a clear sign of fueling war. At that moment, Jimmy Olsen, Lois's colleague, reveals that a reliable source confirmed Superman is being held in a pocket universe. In that dimension, Luthor appears before Superman and reveals a horrifying truth. They are holding crypto. He says the dog will be imprisoned indefinitely, subjected to experiments, and ultimately sacrificed. But before its death, it will endure excruciating pain. Meanwhile, Jimmy meets Eve, Luthor's girlfriend, who is secretly leaking information to him. Jimmy tries to get more details about Luthor's true plans, but Eve admits she doesn't know the full extent. However, she promises to dig deeper if Jimmy agrees to go on a date with her. Before leaving, Eve, visibly hurt, confesses that Luthor tortured a dog the previous day and hasn't stopped there. He bragged that all his ex-lovers are imprisoned in his private jail, revealing his depravity, his sick obsession with power and revenge, even in personal relationships. In the pocket universe, a weakened and pained Superman tries to talk to Rex. He convinces Rex that if he retracts the kryptonite, Superman will help rescue his son. The young metahuman has shape-shifting abilities, but Rex becomes agitated and angry. Instead of helping, he pushes the kryptonite closer, causing Superman to writhe in agony. Meanwhile, Lois seeks out the Justice Gang, determined to find and rescue Superman. Mr. Terrific successfully locates Superman, thanks to nanosensors he secretly planted in Superman's bloodstream. He informs the team that Superman is in an abandoned military base. Though the signal is disrupted, he's certain Superman is trapped in a pocket universe. However, Green Lantern and Hawkgirl hesitate, unwilling to join the rescue mission. Both say they don't want to fight to save Superman, angered by their attitude. Lois snaps. She bids them a sarcastic farewell, not without a biting jab at Green Lantern. Mr. Terrific follows her, showing his dedication by vowing to join her in rescuing Superman. His kindness and resolve shine in this moment. Meanwhile, Malik Ali, the street food vendor who helped Superman and gave him a falafel, is brought by Baravia's president and Luthor to the secret prison. Luthor plans to use Malik as leverage to force Superman to answer their questions. In agony, Superman begs Luthor not to harm Malik, but when interrogated about his team, Superman insists he acts alone. Unconvinced, they shoot Malik in the head in front of Superman. This brutal act reveals Luthor's absolute cruelty and indifference. Simultaneously, Mr. Terrific and Lois reach the secret base where Superman is held. They're ready to do whatever it takes to save him. Mr. Terrific quickly picks up a nearby signal and doesn't hesitate. He takes down all obstacles, erecting an energy shield to protect Lois. With the path clear, they advance toward a large tent hiding the entrance to the pocket universe. There, Mr. Terrific explains the dangers of creating a pocket universe. If not controlled, it could create a black hole and tear apart space, wasting no time. He begins decoding the access code. In the cell, Rex is consumed by despair, unable to save Malik, who died before his eyes. Mustering all his courage, he begs Superman to help save his young son. Superman nods firmly. He tells Rex his body needs to absorb radiation from Earth's yellow sun to regain strength. It's his only source of power, miraculously. Element Man creates a miniature sun by compressing solar elements together. Mr. Terrific and Lois successfully decode the code and step through the portal into the pocket universe. But they're met with a massive river of antiproton particles. Crossing it would vaporize them instantly, preventing them from reaching Superman. After recovering, Superman flies to the cell holding Rex's son and frees him. Together, they escape to find Krypto, but as they prepare to flee, they're ambushed and pushed toward the anti-proton river. Through their combined efforts, Superman, Rex, and Krypto, with Superman's super breath, escape being sucked into the black hole. Mr. Terrific spots them and rushes to their rescue. He pulls them out just before the portal closes. After the escape, Superman and Lois reunite, though Superman is still very weak. Meanwhile, Eve contacts Jimmy, informing him she has all the information needed to take down Luthor. But before handing it over, she demands Jimmy promise to go on a date with her on Saturday, just the two of them. Suddenly, Luthor appears and catches her, though she tries to send files. All that transmits are her suggestive selfies. Later, Lois and Superman visit Clark's adoptive parents. Soon after, Jimmy calls Lois to recount the incident with Eve and sends her the photos. Surprisingly, hidden behind the seemingly innocuous images are critical Luthor Corp files. These files prove vital, serving as evidence to incriminate Luthor. Meanwhile, Luthor prepares to reopen the Pocket Universe portal to lure Superman out. Though this could cause a multiversal rift, a global catastrophe, he doesn't hesitate. He activates the disaster to draw Superman's attention, proving once again why creating a Pocket Universe is a terrible idea. The next day, Superman's adoptive father, Jonathan Kent, tells him Lois is a wonderful woman and notices Clark has changed a lot lately. Superman confesses he feels terrible knowing his biological parents sent him to Earth to conquer it. But Jonathan says parents don't decide who their children become. Superman's choices and actions define him. He adds that he's never been prouder of Clark than he is today. They share a heartfelt, healing embrace. Meanwhile, Green Lantern watches news of the escalating war in Baravia. Superman sees the report and learns children in Baravia are begging for his help. He prepares to head there immediately. However, Mr. Terrific stops him, warning that the spatial rift must be addressed first, as it could destroy the entire planet. Later, Jimmy and Lois report to their Metropolis editor, Perry White, that Luthor is behind everything. He's manipulating events to seize half of Jarhanpur's territory and plans to crown himself king. He's even colluded with Baravia's president Vasil Gurkos. Together, they've blocked Superman from intervening in the Baravia-Jarhanpur war. Mr. Terrific can't disable the Rift or Luthor Corp's team. As Luthor refuses to cooperate, they're forced to drag the ship out of the building. Mr. Terrific explains a code to close the rift is stored at Luthor Corp. Suddenly, Ultraman appears and drags Superman to a football stadium, where they're forced to fight. With the engineer's help, Luthor orders her to flood Superman's lungs with nanites, a terrifying act she carries out under his watch. As Superman nears death, his body overrun with nanites, Luthor orders the engineer to inject the remaining nanites. But Superman, with all his strength, flies as high as possible, beyond Earth's atmosphere. Unable to go further, he plummets back down at a terrifying speed, a fall that would kill anyone, including the engineer. But when they hit the ground, Superman survives, successfully expelling the nanites from his body. Luthor orders the Raptors to move in. As they find the engineer still alive, though barely standing, Ultraman survives too. His mask falls off, and Superman is stunned to see he's a clone of himself. Luthor collected DNA from a strand of hair left after Superman's past battles to create this clone. This identical DNA allowed Ultraman to access the Fortress of Solitude. Luthor orders Ultraman to attack Superman with full force, proving intelligence always triumphs over raw strength. Vassal orders war, and though Baravia's people resist, they're forced to retreat. Only a child remains, praying for Superman to save them from the war. Superman tells Luthor that no matter what he does, he'll never win. His plans in Baravia will fail because Superman called in some friends. He secretly enlisted the Justice Gang, who arrived to stop the war, joined by Element Man and his young son. Meanwhile, Perry White announces the newsroom is ready to expose the truth. Jimmy and Lois uncover Luthor's full plot, that he orchestrated the war to justify eliminating Superman, even while being attacked. Superman smiles and declares that intelligence always surpasses strength. He calls Krypto, and after breaking free from Ultraman, his clone, he sends Krypto to destroy Luthor's surveillance orbs, secret cameras he installed. The Raptors appear, and Superman prepares to face them. After defeating the Raptors, Ultraman returns and attacks again. But this time, Superman strikes back harder than ever, sending Ultraman into a black hole, eliminating the twisted reflection of himself. He and Mr. Terrific head to Luthor Corp to close the interdimensional rift. There, Superman declares he's as human as anyone else. He loves, he fears, every day. He wakes up and keeps going. He makes mistakes because that's human nature. At that moment, Krypto charges in and gives Luthor a thrashing. The rift is finally closed, thanks to Mr. Terrific decoding the lock. On the news, Luthor's truth is exposed. His secret collusion with Vaisal and Baravia's government. The world now knows Luthor is a traitor. The same world that once turned its back on Superman. Humanity collectively realizes they were wrong and owes him an apology. Superman was always the hero they trusted from the start. Luthor is arrested, all his prisoners, including his ex-lovers, are freed. Eve reunites with Jimmy, and later, Lois meets Superman under the guise of an interview. Really an excuse to kiss while spinning in midair. A dizzying but romantic kiss. Lois finally confesses she loves Superman, officially cementing their emotional and hopeful relationship. After everything, Superman returns to the Fortress of Solitude, where his robots have repaired everything and even self-restored. His cousin, Supergirl, appears. Turns out, she's Krypto's real owner and loves partying on other planets, since Kryptonians' metabolism prevents them from getting drunk under a yellow sun. She travels to red sun planets to enjoy the buzz. Superman prepares to heal, quietly watching a recording of his adoptive parents, reflecting on memories and feeling true happiness. Superman's story, thus, is not just a battle, but an unending cycle of challenges, sacrifice, and redemption. It's a reminder that even the greatest heroes face doubt and adversity, and it's how they overcome them that makes them immortal. And that wraps up our recap of Superman 2025, a bold and inspiring chapter in the DC universe that redefines the Man of Steel for a new generation. From the thrilling battles against Lex Luthor's schemes to the heartfelt exploration of Clark Kent's humanity, this film delivers a powerful message about hope, resilience, and heroism as the cornerstone of the new DCU. Superman sets the stage for an exciting future filled with metahumans, cosmic threats, and epic adventures. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more recaps as we explore the ever-expanding world of DC. Thanks for watching our video. We are Screen Sizzle. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to catch our latest uploads. We're grateful for your support on our journey to 1 million subscribers. Let me know which movie you want me to explain the meaning of by commenting below. Until next time, enjoy the movie.